In this video, I'm going to be building 3 easy Christmas projects you can make for gifts this year, starting with project number 1. Starting out, I have this thin piece of plywood, and I'm going to sand it real quick. Alright, with that done, I have some of these cutouts that I printed off. And no, I didn't cut these out because I'm awful at doing it. But I'm going to trace them out and cut them out on the scroll saw. Alright, I got everything traced out. I have the state of Kentucky, which is where I live, a dog bone, and a cardinal. So I'm going to get out the scroll saw and cut them out. Alright, time to cut it out. Well, unfortunately my blade broke, so I won't be finishing the Kentucky and Cardinal one, but I'll go ahead and sand this up and show you what it looks like. Alright, I have a drill bit and I'm going to drill a hole right in the middle on the top here. Alright, the first one is done. On to project number 2. I'm starting with this piece of ambrosia maple that I have, and I'm going to cut it to about 24 inches long. 24, close enough. I'm going to start out by ripping one edge so it'll be straight. And I'm going to rip it down to, I guess, like 9.5 inches wide. Alright, I'm going to pick the prettiest spot, which I think is right here, to be the main part of the cutting board. And then up here, I'm going to make a handle. So I'm going to pick out how long I want it to be. I think I'm going to do it 18 inches. It's going to be kind of big. Mark all the way across. And mark in 3.5 inches, I guess. No, more than that. Try 4 1/4. Alright, I'm going to cut it off right here. Now I'm going to mark down 4 inches. I don't really have a plan here. I'm just kind of doing what looks right. I'm just going to use this bottle cap to make it rounded. Alright, I'm going to water pop it and then sand it one more time, and the second project is pretty much done. Look at that grain. Time for the final sand. And here's what it looks like. I need to add the oil to it, obviously, but other than that, it's done. On to the third and final project. For the final project, I'm going to be using the same wood, but this time I'm going to cut it to 4 feet. Next, I'm going to cut all the pieces to the length they need to be, starting with 2 pieces cut to 12 inches. Next, I'm going to cut a piece to 18 inches. Now, at the table saw, I'm going to rip off one edge. Now, I'm going to set the saw to 7 inches and rip all the boards down. Now with one of the 12-inch long boards, you're going to rip a piece off of it that's the width of the board. Alright, that's all the boards ripped down. Now we gotta go back over to the table saw. You're gonna start with the widest 12-inch long board and mark the center. And then put your pivot point on your square at the mark. And then make a 75-degree angle. Now set your saw to 15 degrees. You're gonna cut each mark. Next, you're gonna set your saw back to 0 and then put the saw pivot thing or whatever it's called to 15 degrees like that, and then mark your board at 7.5 inches, and then flip your board around from the side that you had it and then cut this end off, and then again mark at 7.5 inches. Oh, and set your saw back to 0 degrees. Alright, and the last thing to cut, you're going to need to set your saw back to 15 degrees and cut off the end of this square thing we cut. Then I'm going to set the saw back to 0 degrees. Next, you're going to mark up 1/2 inch, I've already done it, and then set your board on there. See, I got the mark there. You're going to set your board on it, line it up, make sure that it's straight, and then take the pencil and then mark the underneath. That's where you're going to cut. Back to 15 degrees.
The next day.
Alright, time for assembly. Starting out, I have the piece where I ripped the little square piece off the side. I've marked in 1/2 inch from these two sides to make like a right angle. And that's where these pieces are going to go. Right in the corner right here. And then this piece is going to go on the back here. And then these pieces are going to go on the top for the roof. So starting out, I'm going to put on this piece on the back here. Alright, the next step is putting on the roof. So, the angled pieces, they'll go on the top. They'll go together just, whoa. They'll go together just something like that. Alright, the next step is to put these in. And I put some glue on it.